we go. We're starting the show right now. This is me starting the show. I'm starting the show, and we're starting.
Oh, you're actually starting.
Starting the show. Hi.
All right. Hi.
It's This Epic Disaster. How are you, people? How are you doing out there? Thanks for listening. We've noticed... I got hair in my mouth.
That's disgusting.
We've been doing this show for 2 years. I've never gotten hair in my mouth. I've noticed some new people are listening to the show. Hi, new people. We don't often get hair in our mouth in the show.
I don't think you got the hair in your mouth from doing the show.
Well, how do you think I got it? Where do you think it came from?
I'm not allowed to say.
I didn't do anything to get hair in my mouth. I don't do those kind of things.
Lies.
This is what we do. This is our show. Let's have a beer.
Okay.
All right. So one of the things we do on the show on This Epic Disaster, by the way, I checked the podcast last week. I did start with Life in a Kill podcast.
You did?
I did.
So
I've never done that. I don't think I've ever. And then I started thinking, what if I have? What if there are shows that I've done it and I didn't even know that I did it?
And like people are like, what the fuck am I listening to?
Yeah, they're very confused. But this is This Epic Disaster. If you are confused right now, what we're doing is we're doing our live beer review, which we do every show. And basically what we do is we pour beer we've never had before on the show. And in this case, I've never had it ever. And then we drink it throughout the podcast, and at the end of the podcast, we'll tell you what we think of it. And this is going to be a task because we just had dinner, and now we got a gigantic. Look at this beer.
Really full.
Wait a minute. What, did you pour all of yours?
No, I didn't.
Okay, because I was going to say, I got more than you.
So, what we're having today is Recluse by Elkmont Exchange.
I thought you were going to say Rectum.
No.
That would be the worst name for a beer.
I wouldn't drink a beer.
I wouldn't either. Don't ever call your
Rectum.
beer Rectum.
Mm-mm.
Rectum, hardly knew him. My rectum got you confused.
It's an American brown ale.
Recluse Brown. Brown Recluse. I get it.
That's funny. It's from Elkmont Exchange out of Knoxville, Tennessee. It's,
my hometown.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about that because I went back. Well, I'll give you the details.
Okay, it's a 6.5% alcohol
and
by
it's
volume.
dark. It's very dark.
And you bought us pint cans, so...
No, I just bought whatever they had.
Which is a pint can, by the way. Just
smells a little dark.
People...
Smells kind of syrupy.
How does it smell dark? That's what I want to know.
Deep dark. You know, all those dark flavors, dark tastes and things like that. And you could see it's really, really dark.
Well, it is dark.
Coffee-like.
I can see it's dark. I can't smell that it's dark. Like if I hadn't looked at it
and
somebody put it up to my nose, I wouldn't know it was dark.
Okay. I tasted it. Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
Give it a taste.
I will. I'm gonna.
Do it.
I'm doing it.
It doesn't taste like a brown recluse.
Do you know what a brown recluse tastes like?
Nope. I'm not going to find out
either.
either.
A spider?
No, I don't think I've ever seen a brown recluse. Maybe I have, but I don't think I have. I have seen a few black widows.
I've been bitten by a brown recluse.
Was that? No, you thought you did, but I don't think you really did.
I don't know. Remember, I had that thing on my knee?
You had it was like gangrene. It was like you actually had a hole in your knee.
I did. It wasn't like gangrene.
It was like as soon as you moved to Chattanooga.
Yep. I got bit by something.
Knee infection.
On my knee, and it got infected quickly, and my whole knee got sore, like where I couldn't bend it. And the bump, I had to have lanced at the hospital.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, that's."
And
I don't think it was.
like,
and you thought it was a spider bite, but I look. Spider bites are very rare.
Okay.
I don't think it was, but it could be. I don't know. Well, you didn't go anywhere where there would have been spiders.
Why would a spider bite me on my knee? Anyway?
I don't know. He didn't want to kill you. He just wanted to maim you.
It's a weird place to bite somebody on their knee.
Because you're a spider. You got to jump up pretty high. You bite people on your feet if they're laying down. Then you bite them on their butt or something like that. But the knee, you got to be like,
bite them on their
were
butt?
You crawling? Well, if they're laying down.
Oh, okay.
But if you're crawling, they'll bite you on your knee. But you didn't do a lot of crawling that I remember.
Only a little bit.
I don't remember.
I do.
So who knows? I read that in prison.
Yeah.
They have a problem with brown recluses.
No.
Yeah.
You're stuck in a cell.
I know, and you can't do anything about it. But
with spiders.
Yeah, that's nasty. I believe I remember hearing that the prison in Chattanooga had them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Did you do a lot of prison time?
Not recently.
With your knee?
No,
okay.
no, not recently. Never in the Chattanooga prison.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, we're going to sample the Recluse from Elkmont Exchange.
Yes, and this is from Knoxville.
In Knoxville. I'm going to tell you about my trip to Knoxville. I went on a trip to Knoxville. I hadn't been in a while.
What'd you go for?
We'll talk about it later. I think we should do a Would You Rather.
Oh.
You know, we do a little...
I thought you were going to start talking about
I'm
your
going to
book.
start talking about it.
You
I
can't
swear...
just start and then stop like
no,
that.
I swear that I will, but I think we should do Would You Rather, which is a game.
To mess with
Would
my
You Rather
head.
is a game of Would You Rather.
Let's play that.
I've still got a little bit of hacking.
So do I.
A little bit. Not much, though. It's almost gone.
I thought mine was completely gone, and then I woke up this morning with a little bit of...
I'm gonna roll the colors today, and I'm gonna see if I can break my spell. I've been throwing 2 at once.
Stop that.
I don't know why.
Don't do that.
Oh, I feel green or yellow in my hand. Ooh, what is that? Is it yellow?
Odd.
Yellow?
It's blue. So it wasn't
Green and
green
yellow
or
make
yellow.
blue, by the way.
It was blue. No, they don't. Okay. So I apologize.
Hacking.
Sorry. Blue stands for appearance and embarrassment. So this is
My
a game
appearance is an
embarrassment. Would you rather be forced to laugh in the most inappropriate situations?
Which I do anyway.
I mean, that's the basis of the Joker movie. Have you seen it yet?
No.
You got to watch it. No, you got
I
to
haven't
watch
seen
it.
it.
It's so worth it. Or have to say everything that is on your mind.
Ooh, I like that one.
So you would rather say everything that pops in your head
Kind of like Tourette's.
as opposed to laugh in inappropriate situations.
So Tourette's, I think what Tourette's, and I don't know, I'm not a doctor. Excuse me.
Did you stay at a Holiday Inn Express?
No.
Oh.
But I think what happens with Tourette's syndrome is there's like whatever's inappropriate in your head that most people have a filter not to say out loud.
Yeah.
If you have Tourette's, that filter kind of disappears. So like I used to think it was just cursing. But they will say, like, if they're in public and they see someone of another nationality or race, they will call them like bad racial names because you're not supposed to do it. And so that thing in your head that breaks down you from doing those kind of things, can you imagine? That would be dangerous I mean, you're not doing it on purpose, but that would be weird.
I can't imagine having Tourette's. If you had Tourette's, or if I had Tourette's specifically, I think I would be afraid to go outside.
I would too.
Imagine a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Because of the consequences that come from, being, I guess, unmedicated and being out there and splurting things out of your mouth that you can't control. You can't control it. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
But why is it always mean things?
It isn't always mean.
Or dirty things.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's things that you're not supposed to say out loud. It's things that are socially unacceptable. And there's like whatever the filter is that most people have to keep you from doing that. Tourette's breaks down that little filter.
I don't know if that's how that works.
I think you don't just yell out refrigerator, but I mean, you don't. And if somebody said, look, we're going to be in public in this place where all of these people are offended by the word refrigerator, do not say that. I bet you that they would. I think it's that. It's kind of I don't know, maybe like a form of OCD where it's just like, you're not supposed to do it. So that impulse like comes through and you do it anyway. If someone knows more about Tourette's than I do, which is probably most people, please write in and let us know.
Because I was going to ask you, have you read up on Tourette's?
A little bit, but not. I mean, that's what I said. I'm not a professional. I'm not giving a professional diagnosis here. I'm just saying my understanding, and I'm also saying that it could be wrong. But what I did want to say, which I'm looking up really quick here.
Hurry.
I just bought some books. All right.
On Tourette's?
No, there's an illustrator who I just absolutely love. You can find him on Instagram.
Okay.
His name is Louis Rossignol.
Rossignol.
Rossignol. Look up his stuff. Louis, Lewis, and follow him. I just bought 3 of his books. He's one of my favorite illustrators. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's got some videos out because he has some Tourette's type of what do you call them? It's not a disorder. A thing. I don't know the proper word. I know he has some of the symptoms or whatever. Okay. But anyway, he
like a syndrome.
Yeah.
Is that what you?
Well,
were
that's
looking
what.
for?
No, I'm just. He has some videos about how he deals with it and how working as an artist helps him to deal with it.
Okay.
And it's very, very interesting. It's always been one of those kind of scary things to me, just because you don't understand it, and it's almost impulsive. It's like there's no control, which to me is always I'm a control freak, so it's really scary. But anyway, going back to Louis stuff, I just bought 3 of his books, and I love them. And look at his stuff on Instagram. It's very cool.
Just show me really quick so I can react. I just want to see. Oh, yeah, I can see how you would like that.
Do you know who Ralph Steadman is? Who was the illustrator for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
He illustrated a lot of, what's his name's books. Who was Fear and Loathing guy?
Really? Come on.
You're not helping. If you know it, say it. I got a block. I have lots of blocks.
I have a block.
I want to say Duke because that's stupid, but in Doonesbury, Duke is based on that character.
But that's not it.
I'll think of it at some point. But anyway.
People are screaming at us right now with the name.
Yeah, they do all the time.
I know. They yell at us a lot. I don't know why people yell at us.
That was the wrong one. That was the wrong one. I meant to do this one. That one.
Okay, so Rick has a new toy.
It's an old toy.
It's an old toy.
It's a very old toy.
And we're gonna play with it a little bit.
No, we're not. I just did it, but we're not gonna do it.
Okay. This is not going well.
Look up Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
I'm looking at it right now.
All right, and the author?
Hunter S. Thompson.
Yes, that's who I was trying to figure out.
All right.
So Ralph Steadman illustrated most of Hunter Thompson's works.
Yes.
And he works in pen and ink and very messy. A lot of, it's very interesting. Look up Ralph Steadman too. There's some color like from acrylic inks and things like that. But most of his work is like, he does some caricature work, almost like editorial cartoons. But he's got a book all about dogs. And it's all ink drawings and funny things about dogs.
About dogs.
Yeah. But his work is very similar to Lewis. Lewis has his own thing and Ralph has his own thing, but you could see the influence in there. So, but if you like that kind of stuff, I think you'd like it. I think you would like Ralph Steadman stuff.
Okay. I will look into it. As a matter of fact, just looking at it to begin with, it reminds me of one of my favorite new artists. Well, he's not new, but art isn't something that he started out with. I think I've talked about him before, Matthew Gray Gubler.
Oh, yeah. We talked about him 1 or 2 episodes
just
ago.
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. His artwork is not your normal,
right,
I guess, kind of artwork either. I don't know what normal artwork is. Anyway,
there's no such thing.
Moving on. Okay, it's my turn to do a would you rather.
Well, I got off on a little bit of a tangent because I was saying my choice would be to say whatever's on my mind, and that was, then I kind of led into.
And you did.
Kind of led into the whole Tourette's thing, but I think between the two, that's the one I'll pick.
Okay. So rather than laughing in inappropriate situations, which you do already.
Mostly, or try not to.
All right. I dropped a green stone.
That's the one I was supposed to drop.
But I did it instead. So now you get to read me a green question.
Green question.
Yes, please.
All right. Here we go with the green question. Green is ethics and intellect.
I don't have either of those.
You
things.
should. All right. Would you rather have the ability to see 10 years into your own future, be interesting, or 1 year into the future of the world? It's kind of a selfish question.
So I can see 10
years into your own future.
Does that mean that, okay, let me just get some clarification here. Does that mean that I can see from now through the 10 years?
Yeah.
Or just what's going to happen in 10 years?
It says your own future.
Right. But do I get to see all of it or just where I'm at in 10 years?
Yeah, I think only what's working for you. I mean, you can't see 10 years into someone else's life. Just what affects you, I would think.
Or 1 year into the world's future.
That would be everyone.
Everyone. I'm going to be selfish and go with my own.
Okay.
I want to see my future in 10 years.
Well, the cool thing about that is that you actually have 10 years. Because if you die in 2 years, you don't get 10 years. So if you're guaranteed that you can see in 10 years in the future, then you know you're going to be alive.
You'll be alive for 10 years. But what if you're alive with a debilitating, painful disease?
Yeah, that wouldn't be cool. I'm wondering, though, if you get 1 year for the world, you're part of the world. Would that also include you?
Well, yeah. I would think so.
Okay.
But my question is more like, do I get to see like every day of that 10 years or just fast forward to 10 years from now?
I don't know. My concern would be, can I actually see people naked? That's what I would want. I would want the ability for 10 years to see anyone naked that I wanted to see naked. Can I have that? Is that one of my questions?
You can have that.
Does that make me perverted?
Yes.
Dang it.
I like you perverted, though. You're a good pervert.
I used to think, and this is so weird, I can't even believe I'm going to say this. When I was a kid, I used to feel like that this is the kind of weird kid I was. I used to feel like that it should be a law that you should be able to go up to anybody and just say, I want to see you naked, and they have to strip down and show you.
I think you've mentioned that on this podcast
That's
before.
so strange. That's so weird.
It is very weird.
Because, I mean, it's funny, but then when you start thinking of all the implications, then it's really strange and dangerous and kind of hints that I should be institutionalized.
Well, it's a very young boy thing to think of. That's what it is.
I was just thinking of it yesterday.
Oh, well, all right. See, I just think it should be a law that you should be able to walk up to anybody's house, knock on their door, and they have to show you around their house.
Yeah, that was my other thing too. We talked about that as well. It's just like they have to let you do it. I mean,
it's very
that's
voyeuristic.
Better. Yeah, that's better than naked, though.
I agree, because I'm not taking my clothes off for anybody.
Well, it also takes up a lot of your day. It's just like you're late for the meeting and somebody comes up and says, I want to see you naked.
You're like, I can't. I've got to be somewhere.
So everybody should
5
carry
minutes.
like business cards of themselves nude.
But those can be photoshopped, so
yeah,
that's not real.
No, the law should be that they can't be photoshopped.
Okay, because that'll work. People do that
I
in
think
advertising
it's quite
now.
possible that most people don't look as good naked
as we think they
as
do.
we think they do.
I
Maybe
agree
it's
with
just
you.
like 3 or 4 times of that, and you're like,
I'm done.
This was a horrible wish.
Yeah.
I don't. Can I see the genie again? Let's
don't-
try something else.
I don't want to see any more naked people.
Because I know the first time someone said that to me, they'd be like, I quit. Oh, put it away.
Do you think someone would say, I want to see you naked?
I hope so.
To you?
I mean, the thing is, people could do that now, and I would show them. I mean,
That's
that
true.
doesn't even have to be a law.
That's
true.
true.
If they would just ask. I beg for them to ask. I really, really do.
Maybe you should post another photo.
I need to put another naked photo.
Yeah, on our Facebook page, like you did before.
Yeah,
that's a good. Idea.
I started working, and you remember this like a year ago. I started working on this art piece, which I've stopped. I need to get back on it, but it was a naked picture
of yourself,
of myself, and it was only me because I couldn't find anybody to model for me. But also, it was right before I turned 57,
right?
And I was 56, and I thought, okay, I want to do this kind of artsy picture of myself in this state before I go too old, because I'm going to just keep getting old, and I'm never going to look like this again.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's great, because it's not. It looks like an old dude.
57-year-old.
No one wants to see that of an old dude. But I was just like, I want to like freeze this as an art piece and make it. And so, and that was weird because I had to actually make it public. I had to put it online and do it public. And no one cared. No one said a word. No one screamed. I did get a visit by the cops who told me to take it down, but that was it.
Oh.
But yeah, and I haven't finished the piece. I need to finish the piece. I liked it. I mean, I thought you can't see my face. I mean, it could be anybody.
Artistically, I've seen it, and artistically, I think you were doing a really good job.
Yeah, it was fun. But what happened was I started changing how, like, I was working in a medium that I don't usually work in, and so I got over halfway done, and then I realized better ways to do it, and I was like, oh, I need to do it again. In fact, I did do it twice, and then I stopped.
You got another hair in your mouth?
I don't know what's happening.
Okay,
I
so
read
we read a story
remember,
earlier.
That's exactly what it is. There was a woman,
and
I don't know where she was, but she started growing hair on her gums.
Oh my God!
What the mother freak on her gums?
Hair growing from her gums.
She had like a comb over at one point. I don't know, on her teeth. Could you imagine? So, smile for the picture. No, stop smiling.
Stop! Don't open your mouth ever.
Your teeth have a mustache.
So, what is that disease where people like to eat hair? Do you know the name of that disease?
Yeah. So what they do, they don't necessarily eat hair. They like to put their hair in their mouth.
Yeah.
And chew on it, and then when they do, loose hair goes in their mouth, and they swallow it, and it's like a hairball.
So if that woman had that disease, that she could keep it all to herself. You would never have to.
It would be like chewing gum.
She would just chew on her gums.
Yeah, she would have like hairy
exactly.
gums. Ooh, that's weird. That sounds like a old like
Twilight Zone
film noir detective.
Oh God.
Hi, I'm Harry Gums.
Harry Gums. Gumshoe Harry. I like that one better.
All right.
That's
all right. So I was. Sorry, I'm gonna cough a little bit, but. So I mentioned a couple weeks ago, and I've meant to talk about this on the show, but we both got sick and all this kind of stuff. I went back to my hometown, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
First time, really. Now I've been through it a couple times since I moved to Chattanooga and then Atlanta, but I haven't spent a lot of time there. And so I wanted to do that. My wife had never really spent any time there. So I wanted to show her kind of some of my old, like where I grew up and things like that.
Your old stomping grounds?
Kind of, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So we went up there. We stayed the weekend.
Where'd you stay?
We stayed in a Air B&B.
Okay.
Which was interesting. Over North Knoxville is like the historic part of town.
Uh-huh.
And when I say historic, it's kind of like old and run down in places.
Okay.
It used to be like really old and run down, but it's where a lot of the really, really pretty houses are, like the old pretty houses and things. So we stayed in an old pretty house.
Okay.
And someone had turned into an Airbnb.
Do you ever worry when you stay in an Airbnb if somebody has like secret cameras set up?
I have thought of that.
Okay.
And we gave them something to look at. I know
All right,
I did.
then.
I know I did. I showed them my hairy gums.
Oh, dear.
No, but I mean, like when you get into the shower and you're like, oh, it's like Norman Bates watching.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
I think, who has nothing to do but watch a middle-aged man soap himself up in a bathroom? And if that's all they got and they're that desperate, let them watch.
Sometimes I am that desperate. Sometimes I need to find a middle-aged man to watch soap himself in the shower.
I mean, if we're talking a 20-year-old girl, I would be like, okay, well, you got to worry.
That's valid.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But who wants to see me naked soaping myself up in a shower? Is someone that desperate?
Your wife might want to watch that.
She could see it anytime she wants. But anyway, we went, and so I was so impressed at how they have fixed it up. And you would think, because I haven't been there in 15 years, 16, almost 20 years, really.
Yeah.
And in 20 years, obviously, they're going to change a lot of stuff. But I was just amazed at how it's like it really got scrubbed. It's like really...
somebody scrubbed Knoxville?
Yeah, it's really nice. And so...
Stop spitting on me.
I'm sorry. So...
This is how the coronavirus is spread.
I know.
Stop it.
There's a part of Knoxville called the Old City, and that's where... Like back in the 80s and 90s, that's where all the live bands played.
Uh-huh.
So, when you're young, 20-something, that's where you'd hang out. So I'd go down there like every weekend and watch bands perform, Knoxville bands.
Like Judy Batts.
Judy Batts and Super Drag and Smokin' Dave and the Primo Dopes and all those people. Mm-hmm. There was a few, I think there might have been some live bands, but there was a lot of, this is something I haven't seen in a long time.
What?
And maybe it still exists. I'm just out of touch.
Okay.
But like in the 80s, when I was growing up, in the 80s, college and afterwards,
yeah,
like we would go to dance clubs, just
Yeah.
clubs that they didn't do anything but played,
right,
and you would just dance all night long.
Yeah.
With drunk people.
Yeah.
And then get drunk.
I used to go to those all the time.
But I don't see them anymore, and maybe I'm not looking. But do they exist a lot? Are they popular? I kind of felt like they went away.
I think dance clubs still exist. I haven't been to one in a long time.
Yeah, me either. But I saw them then. It was 20-something kids in there. I was like, oh, it's like being at home. It's like when I was young again. But anyway,
But you weren't young again.
No.
But
we went to. I ought to give a little shout out. We went to Boyd's Jig and Reel. Which is a Scottish pub.
Right.
Scottish, not Irish. There's all Irish pubs everywhere. This is an actual Scottish pub. And in the old city of Knoxville. And it's managed by our good friend Anton, who we did KiltCon and all that. And he's down there. He was like, this is the greatest thing. I asked him if he was happy. He was like, I love it here. He said, this is the best pub I've ever worked in. And he said, it's just incredible. And I could tell he's just so happy.
He looked happy in the photos that you shared.
I mean, he's a dad now, and he just loved it. And it's an awesome pub too. We went and saw some live music there. They have live music every week.
Oh, cool. Well, hi, Anton, if you're listening.
Yeah. So we did that, and then we went. We just went like the downtown Knoxville is also a little bit historic, but it's like most downtowns they try to attract the cool people. The cool.
Sure. The young people.
The young, cool people.
Not us.
Yeah. And so we spent a lot of time down there, and it was fun. They just really made it. I don't know. I was very impressed at how cool and chic it was.
Did you go by the Bijou?
We saw jazz in the Bijou.
That's what I was going to ask, if you saw any jazz.
It was good jazz, too.
Okay.
So that was last night. We saw some live jazz, which I loved. And I like the Bijou. The bistro at the Bijou, not the Bijou. So the Bijou Theater is like a big, big theater.
Yes.
But their little bar, their little pub, their little club is called the Bistro, and they had such good jazz. So we had fun there. But it was fun. It's good. And my wife wants to go back. She said she liked it so much.
Nice.
Went to the art museum. I don't know if I want to say this, but I was slightly disappointed. When I was there, I remembered it being so much bigger.
I've never
It
been
was
to Knoxville's
smaller.
art museum.
Chattanooga's is bigger.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't remember that,
Because
but
the Hunter Museum in Chattanooga, it's not a small museum.
not at all.
But it's not nearly like the High here in Atlanta.
No, the High's good, but and I've never really been overly impressed with the Hunter Museum's permanent collection.
No, but they have some good traveling shows.
Yeah, but I mean, some people might like their permanent collection. It's just I didn't particularly like it. But the Knoxville Museum, I just was a little surprised at how small it was.
Okay.
But we did some antiquing, and it rained a lot, but we just had a good time. It was fun. We want to go back.
Cool.
I enjoyed it. I was down in the north side where we didn't go into, like, West Knoxville is where all the shops and everybody, restaurants and everything. We didn't go down there. East Knoxville is kind of, I want to say the rural section.
Okay.
Where the farmers live.
Okay. You didn't have any reason to go out that way.
Not so much. That's where I grew up in
Right,
East
right.
Knoxville. We did go eventually there to where I grew up, but I
Who'd
didn't
you
go.
see?
We didn't see anybody. We just drove around.
So you didn't see any of your family?
No. We did meet with my mom for breakfast one day, and that was it.
Well, she's part of your family.
Yeah, but I mean, we didn't drive out to see her. I showed my wife where my house. Now, okay, so you remember the story I wrote? Now, if you listen to the Life to Kill podcast, like, this is like first Kilt of Horrors.
Right, back in the day.
When I did the old Lockhart house.
Yes.
So I wanted to see where that was because I remembered it from years and years ago.
Right.
And I knew the house had burned down. It doesn't exist anymore. But I wanted to go back there and see if I could find out where it used to stand. Mm-hmm. So and it was still creepy. I took some pictures.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm going to post them. But it's creepy back there.
Really?
Yeah. But we got to go back there and look and drive around. I don't know. It's fun. Like things that actually were like the post office. It was the new post office, and then they built a new post office.
And now
it
it's
became
the old
post
post
And now
office.
it's just a junk hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
So things that actually had life and existence when I lived there now they're just a rundown piece of crap.
Well, again, think how long it's been since you actually
know.
lived there.
I know.
That's like it. Okay, so I left Oakland in 1990, and I moved to Alaska. And I went back to Oakland in, 1998, maybe. It was just filthy. Like
Yeah.
that's what I saw was filth
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I was living for that 8 years in Alaska, which is very, very clean and pristine. Even in the city, they keep it much cleaner
Really?
than Oakland, California. So that's all I noticed. Like I recognized some places, and that was fun. Like my favorite little hot dog restaurant named Casper's down in Richmond. Absolutely love that place. Other places like that I noticed and I saw them, but they just looked dirty, and I couldn't figure it out. And I'm afraid if I were to go back to Oakland now, which is where I grew up,
Right.
if I were to go back now, it would probably look like a crap hole.
I don't know. I bet you they fixed it up.
Either
because
that
towns
or
are
it's
doing
super,
that now.
super clean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what I'll bet. I'll bet you you'll be like, oh, this looks nothing like I remember. It's so nice,
Right.
Because that's what I was remembering about Knoxville. And I mean, I'm not down on Knoxville, but just places that I remember were really run down. Like going down Broadway, North Knoxville was a lot of antique stores, but a lot of buildings that were just run down, and some of those are still there. In fact, some of the newer buildings when I was there are now the run down buildings, but. There were some breweries and pubs and just new restaurants and new things that have sprung up that really surprised me. So, and like this brewer that we're drinking their beer, what is it? Elkmont?
Elkmont Exchange.
What does it say? I don't know if there's an address there.
No, it just says Knoxville.
But all of the old kind of rundown places are now kind of a new places, and all the new places are kind of the
So
old
same
places.
building, new adventure.
Yeah, so it's fun. So we're going to go back and do it again. But anyway, Knoxville's a fun place. It's not too cold. So there's an episode of The Simpsons. So if you know anything about Knoxville, if anybody knows anything about Knoxville, in 1982, Knoxville hosted the World's Fair. And for the World's Fair, they built this tall structure called the Sun Sphere, which is like a gold ball
Right.
on a golf tee. That's what
Right.
it looks like, a golf ball.
It does look like a gold
Yeah.
golf ball standing on a tee, ready
Yeah.
to, for some huge, like Paul Bunyan to come swing a golf club.
And it's called the Sun Sphere. It was about energy because that's what the expo was about at the time. And it's kind of it's the symbol of Knoxville now.
Yeah.
There was a time when people wanted to knock it down. I don't know why. But there's an episode of The Simpsons, which is very bizarre, where the Simpsons go to Knoxville because they want to go to the World's Fair.
Okay.
They don't realize the World's Fair was over in 82. So they go, and the World's Fair is not going on anymore.
Right.
And so they're very disappointed, but they go to the Sun Sphere. And in the Sun Sphere, they're selling wigs.
In the Sun Sphere.
No one knew why that in the Sun Sphere they're selling wigs. But
were they high when they wrote that episode?
I don't know, but they end up knocking the Sun Sphere over.
Oh my gosh!
So someone apparently asked why they did that, and the writer was like, "I don't know. I read somewhere that Knoxville was the wig capital of the world.
It might be.
It's not. I don't know where he got that. There, you can find some wigs. I mean, Dolly Parton." Is sort of.
She's Sevierville.
She's Sevierville, but she's not from Knoxville. But she does a lot of stuff. Like she sang on a lot of shows in Knoxville. She's very connected to Knoxville,
right?
And she has wigs, so maybe that's
maybe.
I don't know. But anyway, the Sun Sphere is kind of cool. Knoxville's a cool place to hang out.
Can you go up into the Sun Sphere?
You used to. I think you can. There's used to be a restaurant. I don't know if there still is.
Really? So you can walk up in there and look out it?
Yeah. It used to have I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you can eat, and it would the floor would go in a circle, and you can kind of see all of Knoxville, which is kind of fun.
So that's what the Space Needle in Seattle does.
It's very similar, yeah.
Only Space Needle's much cooler.
All right, off Knoxville, let's go to a little more general. I got a question I want to ask, and it doesn't have anything to do with you, I don't think. But I was thinking about this today.
What?
Or yesterday.
What?
All right, so I have kind of a new mission, artistic mission, but one of the things it involves is small town. Southern small town.
Yeah, I saw you posted something that said, if you grew up in a small southern town, what images remind you of that? Now, I didn't, so I don't.
No, you didn't. That's the thing. I can't. I mean, you've been here, but you didn't grow up. So I'm kind of curious about, and if you're listening, and I want to thank the people who did respond to, sorry.
Stop it.
I got very raspy here.
Why'd you get so raspy? You getting sick again?
No, I'm getting sick. But anyway, thanks to the people who responded. But so I'm doing something artistic that has to do with small town South. Okay. Small towns in the South.
Okay.
And so I started thinking about what are the images that people think of when they think of that. So I looked online and I typed that in, small town South, on Google. And all these images came up that were like racist images.
Really?
Small town South. And so it was just like rebel flags and racism and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought, really? That's the legacy of small town South? And I was telling my wife, I was like, and we've talked about this. There's probably, anytime you hear of a racist incident that happens in America, like a shooting, mass shooting that's racially motivated, it's always in New York or California or Pennsylvania. It's rarely in the South.
Yeah.
You just don't hear about it. I mean, even the march that happened in a few years ago, the racist march, was in Virginia, just right outside of Washington, D.C. People don't normally think of Virginia as the South, but not Washington, D.C. It's rare that you hear. I mean, believe me, there's plenty of racist stuff that goes on in the South.
Yes, there is.
The Klan and all that kind of junk. But I don't really, someone who grew up here, I don't really associate it that much with the South. So I was just thinking, what are the images that people who grew up here think about? Because we don't think of that. We don't think of racism and things like that. And that's what I want to try to start capturing some of those images in photography.
Okay. So do you think like rolling hills, farmland?
Like every small town has like a little ice cream shop.
Sure. Or city center where like the federal building is. Every
Main Street kind of thing.
Yeah, like the Main Street. That's what I've noticed since I've lived down here, because I've been to a lot of small cities around Atlanta and around Chattanooga and around, up even higher up than that, like Cooksville, Clarksville, up in there, in Tennessee still, and Kentucky as well. And every town has like a 3-block radius kind of where like the federal building is, and then there'll be like some restaurants and some nightlife and some museums and some galleries and that kind of thing right around there in like a 3-block radius. And they all have that. And to be honest with you, most of them look exactly alike because they're all red brick buildings.
But that's part of it. That's like the downtown. But I mean, you get even a little more removed from that in a little more rural areas. Like I always think of a ball field. like a baseball field or softball field, because it's like those kind of were in all small towns. Little people playing Little League or whatever. And you would go and you'd watch those little ball games, and then you would go off and have an ice cream or go get a burger or whatever. But they were, at the time when I was growing up, that was kind of the center of the city or the town. And I still see them when I drive through on business or whatever, and I go through small towns, I'll still see that. But I think it's disappearing. You know, now people just, they'd rather stay at home and watch something on Netflix.
I mean, I would.
And then the other thing is, and I see this now too, when you think of like softball or baseball fields, they're really kind of high tech now. They actually have like big, tall bleachers. It's like, it becomes like a bigger version of what it used to be. It used to just be like a dirt field, and people would play ball in the dirt fields.
So where's this nostalgia coming from?
It's not coming from, well, I've been writing. So I sometimes when I write, like I will put myself into a certain time period. So I was writing something about kind of not about that time period, but about that atmosphere. And so I was looking for some photographs to support the writing. And that's when I just did a search, and I was just like, why is all this stuff racist? This is like people who they didn't grow up in the South. This is what they think the South is.
Right.
And again, I'm not saying there's not a part of that.
Right.
But it's just like you go to small town Georgia, and I'm not talking political. I'm not going to say who they vote for or anything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what their daily life is. Someone mentioned mailboxes, big mailboxes in a row that lead to people's houses. And that's true. You think about that in a rural area. You don't think about it in big cities.
Right.
But somebody said something about old cars, which you could drive in the South and you see these old cars in people's yard, usually up on blocks or doing some work on it, or
See, if we have listeners in Alaska, when I was in Alaska, it's the same thing. It's more rural areas. You'll have a row of mailboxes with all the addresses on them at the start of a street, that all those houses are down that street and then down some other streets, but that's where everybody goes to get their mail. You don't have a mailbox outside of every single house,
right? Because
it's just not possible,
right? And that's what I was saying. That's why a lot of times people associate that with the South, the rural South. Yeah. So, and it's true. It's a part of my memory as well. So anyway, I guess just for my own sake, if you did grow up in the South, I'm just curious, what are your memories? What are the things, the images? Like, I always think those old ice cream, and I'm not talking Baskin Robbins. Right. It's usually like, Roy's ice cream. There's somebody in town decided to open up an ice cream place. And it's the same with the burgers or restaurants. It rarely is it chains. Now, that's, again, changing. There's McDonald's and Subway on every corner,
and chains are going farther and farther out and farther rural. But like the mom and pop barbecue place that's been there for 30 years.
And so I'm just curious what the images that pop into your head when you think of growing up small town South. I would just like to know.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything for you because I didn't.
thisepicdisaster@gmail.com. Send them to me. I'd like to know. We might share them on the air. So
perhaps not. So you know what's coming up, right?
My lungs.
Clearly something from your lungs is coming up. Oh. So today is Sunday, February 9th. This episode will be aired on Monday, February 10th.
Yeah. No, I see where you're going with this. 4
days from then is Thursday, or what is it? Friday, February 14th is Valentine's Day.
The day for lovers.
Apparently.
I'm not a big Valentine's Day person.
I've never been a big Valentine's Day person.
I mean, when I've been in relationships, usually you'll go eat or celebrate, but I don't know. Okay. Weird. So a lot of people agree with me when I say things like, if you actually love somebody, you should celebrate that love every day, not just on a day that Hallmark tells you to do it, right? Okay, that's fine, but I was looking into it. Valentine's Day isn't necessarily created by Hallmark. No, they just exploited it.
They exploited the hell out of it. But
so like what I'm seeing, so for Thanksgiving, a lot of people not going with the family.
Right.
So they'll have their friends over and they have a Friendsgiving. So what I've seen with Valentine's Day is people have Palentine's Day. Like, they're my pal.
Yeah.
It's just like you can give your buddies, you can treat them to a Palentine Day. And there's another one too.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Well, I mean, I've got some facts here that I want to kind of go over. They're facts, but they're also just ideas. So I'm going to start with number 7, which you just brought up. It says you don't have to be lovers to celebrate Valentine's Day.
But it helps. Boom, chicka, bow, wow.
I mean, you might get something out of it that way. Sexually is what I'm getting at. You might have sex.
That's right.
Just don't with that thing. Please just don't. That's horrendous.
I didn't do this one. I mean, I could have, but I didn't.
Okay, I want people, our listeners, to write into us and tell us if you have ever accidentally farted while, making out or like having sex with somebody and they heard it and or smelled it.
Well, we talked about that like 2 weeks ago,
And
accidental
it's
farting,
disgusting.
where I would talk about where I would just kind of go.
You would like pretend it was your mouth.
Yeah, I was just like, oh,
You
no. I was
wouldn't
just
do that if
No,
you
you
were-
don't do that when you're making
If you
out.
were having sex
No.
with your wife and suddenly, oops, you farted,
Oh.
you wouldn't just start going with your mouth because she clearly knows it didn't happen.
I would talk about that, but it's way too personal. There's some incidents that I just not going to go into. But I do feel like it's one of those things where there's nothing you could do about it.
Right.
But I just wonder how many times it completely ruins the moment. Because it's like really getting down and dirty and heavy, and it's like, and you're like, okay, that's over. That's done.
I mean, somebody
not
out
happening
there-
now.
Somebody out there has got to, some
Yeah.
female or male
Mm-hmm.
out there has got to have the story where somebody is giving them oral sex.
Oh my goodness!
And they accidentally
No.
farted. You know it's happened.
You've gone too far now.
Have I?
Whoa.
I mean, what do you do?
I
What
don't know.
would you do?
It's one of the images that I think of small town South.
I'm sorry, I just went off on a tangent. This is supposed to be about Valentine's
Yeah.
Day.
That's not the Valentines I want to celebrate.
I'm talking about farting during sex. Love it. Okay.
That's where we go.
I'm sorry. So anyways, you can have more of a friend's day. Farting is probably okay in that case, I assume.
Let's all get together and fart.
Yeah.
Celebrate Valentine's Day.
But along those lines, I've always been the kind of person, because I'm single, and I'm single a lot. Like, I'm a lot single. Like, I'm really single.
Really quickly, do you think anyone's ever farted in their wedding? Like, in front of everyone? That would be like the worst.
What did I start?
That would be like the worst.
So you're up there, and the officiant is saying something like,
Yeah.
do you, Rick,
Yeah.
take Maria to
If it's a
be-"
little silent or something, I mean, it'll be different. But
And
if
you
you
go,
just really blow one in front of the entire
"Oh my
everybody, you can't
gosh."
cover it up.
I don't know.
I was at a wedding once where the groom passed out, and so I remember that I was a kid and I still remember it. But I mean, I know I would remember for the rest of my life if someone ripped a big one right in the middle of the. What if it was the minister?
Oh my God.
And it wasn't anything to do with you.
Well, you hear stories where people are up there and of course they're, freaking out
Yeah.
and they're nervous
Right.
and all this. And they tell you, don't lock your knees
Right.
and all this because you'll
Don't rip a fart.
don't rip a fart. But also, like, they say things like, I've heard stories of people just turning around and just vomiting.
Oh, yeah.
Like puking all over the
Yep.
place, all over the altar, and or passing out, like
Yeah.
you said. But what if they had a stomach bug?
Right,
And then they had
you
like
can't
a
control,
like
then
a
you-
blowout or
Uh-huh.
something. Oh my God.
That would be embarrassing. There's got to be
Oh my
some wedding
God.
videos. Post your wedding videos on our Facebook page if you happen to blow one right in the middle of the ceremony. I'd like to know.
We'd like to see that.
Yeah.
It's something
And if
we
you're
would
still
like
married.
to see.
I mean, it's a good, you're not going to get too much worse than that for your wedding. I mean, the
can't
marriage.
imagine.
It's just like, it'll always be, you'll be like, well, you know what I was when you married me because
Right.
you saw it right then.
You didn't say I do yet.
Right.
And then you chose to say I do after I did that.
What do we talk about this stuff? What's
know.
wrong with us?
Let's get back to Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Sorry.
So the actual history behind Valentine's Day is kind of interesting. It's not a holiday created by Hallmark. It's just extremely exploited by Hallmark. So the most popular theory about Valentine's Day origin is that an emperor, Roman Emperor Claudius II, he didn't want Roman men to marry during wartime because he didn't think they would make very good soldiers if they were married.
Okay.
There was a Saint Valentine, whoever he might have been at the time, went against his wishes and performed like secret weddings for people. So he's going against the emperor here and allowing and even officiating marriages. So basically, Valentine's Day was founded on an act of rebellion. Today, the rebellious of us choose not to celebrate Valentine's Day because it's almost like you're being forced to show that you love somebody.
You're not going to give in to the commercial part. Yeah.
Exactly. Also, you know how when you sign a letter and you put little X's and O's after your signature?
Right. It's like a little tic-tac-toe game.
Kind of, I guess. Or noughts and crosses for our British listeners, if we have any of those. So signing your message with a little X isn't anything new. It's not at all new, and that was actually Rick, not his toy, that made the kissy sound.
Well, I'm just saying that's what it means.
Right.
It means this right here. What's this? Like that.
That sounded like a baby.
It started off like a little baby.
Having its pacifier taken away.
Baby kissing you.
That sucks. Okay, so basically some people think it's cute, the little X symbol.
Yep.
But it actually didn't start out that way. It started out because a lot of individuals couldn't write.
Oh.
They couldn't write at all.
Why would you want to have as a mate someone who can't write?
Well, I wouldn't nowadays, but in medieval times, it was kind of common for people not to know how to write.
It was like, who are you marrying? I'm marrying John. He can make an X.
Yeah, exactly. But that's how they would do it. Like they would dictate their letter to somebody who could write. Mm-hmm. Yes, I said dictate, and you made a weird face when I said dictate. You did.
I didn't. I wouldn't do something like that. All right.
Stop. Just stop. But anyways, yeah. So they would have their letter written by somebody who could write.
Yes.
Obviously, they don't know if that person's really putting what they want them to put in there.
So really, they could have just.
But then they sign it with an X.
They could have done it all in X and O's, like binary, and they could have they had a whole different computer language made
like
up.
a 1 or a 0.
I know, and except it could have been an X or 0. Yeah.
Yeah, could have been, but they didn't do it that way.
Should have.
Did you know also back in the day?
I'll bet I don't.
That Valentines weren't always chosen on purpose. So you know that game where you go to somebody's house for a party,
spin the bottle,
and there's a glass bowl. Everybody puts their keys in it.
Oh yeah.
This is not like that. This is actually where everybody would put their name in a bowl.
Oh, and you got matched up with someone.
Yes.
Would you like that arrangement? Do you think? Let's say that you agree to go to a party, and there's going to be, let's say there's going to be 100 people at the party.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
Some people you know, some people you don't know.
Big party,
100 people at the party. Yeah. But the rules when you come to the party is you have to put your name in a bowl, and you have to draw a name, and you have to have sex with that person.
Wait, you have to have sex with that person?
Yes, that's the rule. That's the rule of this party. Would you go and do that?
No.
Why? What if it's like some awesome person?
What if it wasn't?
But it might be.
But it might not be.
But it could be. Are you saying it's not worth taking the risk?
I'm absolutely saying it's not worth taking the risk.
I'm trying to think. I mean, and I don't mean, so like if you have a sexual preference, like you don't want to have sex with a dude, you could say no. But like if you didn't care, you could be like, I'll take any name. I don't care.
20 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Today, not on your life.
I don't know. I might. I can't though. I'm married.
You can't. You're married.
I can't.
You're married. So yeah. So that was a thing that used to happen. Is back in like Middle Ages.
They just match. It's like an arranged marriage.
Match you up and
it's arranged Valentine.
You'd have to wear the person's name.
Oh, that's fun. It's like elementary school.
You would have to tie it onto your clothing somehow, like they owned you or some shit.
They'd be like Rick and Maria sitting in a tree. KISSINT.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you just sing that?
I did. I have to pay royalties now.
Really?
I think so.
Wow. Yeah. So, anyways, cool stuff. Oh, this is kind of fun. Juliet, of the Romeo and Juliet variety, she still gets love letters.
Huh?
It's the weirdest thing. So, okay. So, the city of Verona in Italy, which is where the play was set.
Right.
Which is in Verona, in Italy.
Yeah.
They still, the post offices there still receive about 1,000 letters addressed to Juliet.
That's weird.
It's kind of silly. But people write to Santa Claus.
Well, I know, but 5-year-olds do. 5-year-olds writing to Juliet. I just wonder though all right, so probably some kids that hear the play for the first time.
Right. And they are enchanted.
People joking, just seeing what will happen. But the people who really expect something, that's weird.
No, you're
Those
right.
people are strange.
Do you think there are really people that
I
actually
hope
expect
not,
something?
but I'll bet there are. Because there are crazy people in this world.
You know, there
There are
might be
people who will fart in their own wedding.
But there might be people that actually write to Santa Claus and expect something.
Grown-ups?
Yeah.
I mean, there is
Could be.
that. This is my grown-up Christmas list, which I hate that stupid song. I hate.
Oh my God.
I hate grown-ups singing about Santa. It's so stupid.
It is stupid.
Stupid. And I hate grown-ups who write to Juliet. Does Romeo get anything, or do they just automatically think he's dead?
No,
And then
he's
you kill
dead.
him?
Because see, Juliet.
Well, they're not crazy. They're not going to write to a dead
I
guy.
mean, come on.
What?
Juliet didn't die.
So they're like, Juliet, I know Romeo's dead. Maybe now I have a chance.
What?
That's just weird.
That
That's
is
crazy.
weird.
I don't.
Anyways, what do you and your wife? You've been married now, what, 5 years?
To this one, yes. Yes.
This is the one I was talking about.
That's the only one that counts.
So, have you guys ever celebrated Valentine's Day?
Well, my wife's birthday is the day before Valentine's Day.
I know.
So it's almost like a double shot. We kind of do like a double, we'll celebrate both at the same time. But fortunately, she's not a big Valentine person either, which is great.
Okay.
So we mostly just celebrate her birthday, which I'm fine with.
Okay. Have you ever had a wife?
Yes.
You've had a couple of them.
Yes.
Have you ever had one
Yes.
that absolutely
Yes.
had to celebrate Valentine's Day?
Yes. Was just insane about it.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Please elaborate.
No.
Come on. Give us an example.
No, it just you just had to do all the stuff. The thing is, all right, so this is weird, and I think I said this on one of the shows, is all right, I'll admit it, I've been married a few times. 3 of my wives, and there have been at least 4 or 5 times that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, last count. 3 of my wives had birthdays within 2 weeks of each other
Oh my gosh.
in February. I'm just going to say around Valentine's Day.
So is that like a zodiac thing? Are
I
you
don't
attracted
know. Isn't
to
that weird?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think now who I saw like an actress, and I was just like, oh, she's really cute. And then she was like, my birthday's this week. And I was like, oh, crap. So, yeah, I think I'm just attracted to that. And so I'm a Taurus. And so from what I understand, one of the worst astrological signs, I said astrological signs for a Taurus is Pisces. And I can prove that
Okay.
with one of my marriages.
Okay, please do.
I'm not going to tell you which, but I can prove it. And yeah, it's spot on. And so you got to be careful. So like, what is now? Now it's Aquarius, right? Isn't it? Is it Aquarius that's going on now? Or
My
Capricorn.
father is an Aquarius,
Is that February?
and he's February 12th.
Okay, so Aquarius is happening now. So my wife is Aquarius. So I have to assume that Aquarius, because we get along awesome.
Yeah.
So I have to think that that's a good one. But apparently, if you're born a few days later, do not.
Do not.
No. It's
So-
worse than farting while making love. It's horrible.
It's a constant
Yeah,
fart. It's just a.
Your entire love life is a fart.
My mother is
Yeah.
January 3rd, and she is a Capricorn.
That's Capricorn. That's the same as Jesus.
Leos and Capricorns, not so much.
Because the Capricorns think they're the savior of the world.
Right.
And Leos
Are.
Yeah,
Leos are the savior.
I know a lot of Leos. How
do?
did that? Yeah.
You get along with them pretty good?
The ones I know, female ones, have been pretty good. I think my dad was a Leo. And I don't know. I didn't get that
Well, see,
along.
Taurus, bull,
Yeah.
very bullheaded.
Right.
Leo,
That's what they say.
lion, very, how do you say it? Conceited? Is that the word I'm looking
Just
for?
boisterous, big,
Okay.
ego, huge.
Yeah,
Think
large
they're
ego.
the king, queen of the jungle. Yeah,
That,
big.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Does
Yeah.
that sound like me at all?
No.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, you think you're right about everything, but other than that,
Well, I am.
don't- yeah. But Taurus, they just say is stubborn,
Yeah.
which I don't. I know that, but
Yeah.
but they also say that one of the best signs for Taurus is another Taurus.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's how egotistical we are, as we like ourselves.
But could you imagine being married to someone like you?
Well, that's all right. I mean,
I couldn't.
I'm trying to think. So I matched with way back when I was doing dating. I matched with a person online, and this was a dating site where they would give you like a score, like a percentage score, how much you would match with a person based on lots and lots of questions that you would answer, and then they would say like 80%. So it's kind of fun because then you go, oh wow, I have a lot, and it probably means nothing, but I'd be like, oh, I have a lot in common with this person. But this one person was like 99.9%.
Oh my gosh.
Match with me, and I was just like, oh wow, no one ever was higher than that. So I actually went out with her, and it was, I had so much fun. We were like, it was like going out with me. It was, yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was
like going out with yourself.
Yeah.
Oh my
cool.
gosh.
She just lived too far away. I couldn't,
See, I'm not all Leo though. I'm closer to the Cancer side.
Oh, that's my mom. Well, Cancer's supposed to be one of the best signs for a Taurus too. But Cancers are supposed to be like really, really, really emotional and unreliable. Maybe.
No.
I don't know. Are they devoted?
I wouldn't go flighty with a Cancer. I would just say emotional, clairvoyant, perhaps a little empathic, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Leos are very territorial, very proud, very much always right. So I am always right. I'm very territorial, but I'm super emotional about it.
Everyone I know thinks they're right. My wife thinks she's always right.
No, your wife actually does think she's always right.
I don't know of anybody who thinks they're right more than my wife does.
No, I don't either.
I mean, most people be just like, they'll be like, well, okay, I can see your point. I don't agree with you, but she's like, you're full of shit and get out of here.
Walk away.
Yeah, she thinks she's right about all, and she'll tell you that.
Yeah.
There's
she
no
will
room.
straight up say, you are wrong.
Yeah.
Stop talking.
There's no room for it. to be, yeah. So that's weird. That's one of the things.
We love her very much.
Yeah.
Though. Yes.
Let's put a stop to this podcast. We've gone on way too long. We've spent so much time talking about love and farting.
And you've had to listen to us cough through the whole thing.
It hasn't been as bad as the other weeks.
That's true.
So I think next week it's gone. We're both healed.
Let's hope.
We're both brand new. Let's talk about this beer. Well, first, before we talk about the beer, let me just say how much we appreciate everybody after 2 years still tuning in and listening. We hope you still tune in and listen, and we think you do because we talked about some things last week and people responded, and that's what we love. To get on and let us know your opinion, and all you got to do is get on our Facebook page, or you can send us mail at thisepicdisaster@gmail.com. Also, we're on Instagram. We've decided we're going to try to do better on Instagram.
Yes.
I feel like we should.
There's no reason you can't. You just snap a picture and post it. That's it. That's
you can
all
follow
you
us
have
on
to do.
Twitter. We might tweet maybe 2 times a year.
That's you.
It's
That's all
hard.
you.
That's one of those things. Twitter's so toxic. I don't like it.
I'm not a twit.
But every show is on YouTube. Occasionally we'll post videos and I don't know if I should say this. Let's say that I didn't say it, even though I'm going to.
You always do this.
I know. We're considering, we were going to do it this week. We need to do it at a time when we're not hacking up lung stuff. But I think we're going to videotape next week's show.
Yep, I think so
if you
too.
if you want to see a video of the show.
If you like to actually look at us,
you can. Why would they?
I don't know. But you think everybody wants to see you naked. Didn't you say that earlier?
Not everybody, but those who do, I love you.
And they won't see you naked on them. We're not doing one naked. That's
we're not
happening.
doing it. Well, that'll be the premium.
If we're going to start a Patreon.
That's the premium.
And we will, for $100 a month, we will video ourselves doing.
You would get the bad deal on that because we'll both be sitting down.
Naked.
No one could see anything except you. You would be nude. I mean, I wouldn't have a shirt on, which would scare everybody, but still. But I think we're going to videotape next week. We're going to try to.
Okay.
But that will be on YouTube if we do.
Right.
But our entire show's on YouTube. But we would prefer you to go and subscribe,
please.
And then you, as a subscriber, you make sure that you get every episode delivered immediately to your device
as soon as he posts it.
And then give us a little rating, a little review, leave some stars.
Yeah,
and one of the great things we love, and people have started doing this, and we thank you so much, is just do a little post on Facebook to your friends. Just say, I listened to this podcast. I love it.
I
Check
think
it
you
out.
should listen to it too.
Yeah, that's how you got to do.
And then your friends can come back and go, "Oh my God, you listen to this shit."
Yes, I listen to it and I can't stand it. They keep farting during their wedding. All right, so let's talk about beer.
Okay, so it's beer.
Brewski.
It's by Elkmont Exchange. It's called Recluse.
It's a brown ale.
It's brown. It's not a spider.
Nope.
I promise you. 6.5% alcohol by volume. It's dark. It's brown ale.
Yep.
It's not thick like a porter or a
Nope.
stout because
Nope.
it's just an ale.
Yep.
But it's pretty. I'll say that. It's got a pretty color.
Yep.
It doesn't have a horrible flavor. Is that a good thing to say? I enjoy this beer. It is not too heavy, like I said.
Yeah.
It does have some good. Hold on.
When you look at it, you think it's going to be heavy. It's dark. It's got to feel like it's going to be really thick, but then it's not. It's not really.
It's a little bit nutty.
It does have a nutty flavor.
It's
Yeah.
got some malt in there. I mean, I'm full, so it's hard for me to
I know.
enjoy a beer
Yeah.
when I'm full.
Can't drink the whole thing.
But I would have this again for sure.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna go ahead and rate it this
Okay.
time. Jax,
Yep.
listen up. I'm gonna go ahead and give it like a 3.
3. Okay. I'm going to give it a 3.5. I really liked it. I think it's got a great flavor. It's kind of my type of beer. Again, if I got to give it anything really negative is the carbonation went away immediately. There's no bubbles. There's no sparkle. There's no, fizz.
You like more carbonation in beer than beer can offer you.
Well,
most
maybe. I just
times.
like that as a part of my beer.
Right.
And these type of beers do tend to lose it quickly, and this one lost it immediately almost. And I think that's the only negative. Yeah, I wouldn't put that too close to your nose. So I'm giving it 3.5 because I think it's got a great flavor and I like it. So,
Okay, good.
There you go.
So that's
And
what we
Knoxville.
rated it. You should try
I
it.
should boost it another point
Just because of where
because
it's
it's from Knoxville, like me.
Well, yeah. You're not actually from Knoxville, though.
All right,
Don't lie.
let's not ramble too much. Let's say thank you to everyone who joined us, and we're going to be back next week. Every Monday, a new show. Be looking out for it.
We'll be there.
All right.
You'll find us.
All right. Let's say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
This is a Violet Jester Media podcast.